Changing your self-image will transform your life. It's probably one of the most systematic ways to go about creating meaningful change in your life, both in the way that you experience life on a day-to-day level and also the outcomes that you have in your life as well, the results you get. So more happiness, more joy, more material abundance even, and more alignment with what it is that you really want out of life. Those are probably all things that 99% of people on the planet would not pass up on. And going about changing your self-image is what is going to help you get to the root of getting by any obstacle that is in the way of any of those things. This is because the way you see yourself tends to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you have a self-image that dictates you're not capable of achieving certain things, of accomplishing certain things, then you are not even going to try and obtain them. You're not even going to reach for those goals that you have. Now, obviously, you can't just go from having a completely out of order, chaotic life straight to being a CEO of some major corporation, right? You can't just trick yourself and tell yourself that. But what you can do is start to shift your belief system about who you are into someone that can achieve the things that you want to achieve. Because your belief system and your self-image is going to dictate the way you behave. If you believe that you're a low life and all you're going to do is live in your parents' basement and maybe smoke weed all day, because that's what you've currently been doing, if you don't want to keep doing that, you need to start to create a different identity about yourself. Now, the thing that a lot of people are going to struggle with when it comes to elevating their self-image and having a different belief system about themselves is that they have a whole body of evidence already dictating that they are a certain way, right? Like your entire past is kind of like a data set for you to look back on and say, well, these are the things that I do, this is what I'm capable of. But that is the past. There's nothing that indicates the future cannot be different. You need to break the paradigm that you have about yourself. You need to break the mold that your mind is believing you fit inside of. Now, there's a positive feedback loop that can help you do that, help you shift into and reinforce a new identity. That is the belief about yourself that you are going to start embracing, as well as actions that reinforce this new story that you're telling yourself. Now, I say story for a reason. As humans, we tend to really learn and operate and see the world in narratives and stories. We have stories about other people. We have stories about ourselves. Now, we can tell ourselves a different story about who we are. When it comes down to, is this story going to be true or false? That is where the actionable steps come in. That is where you start to build little habits, start to take daily actions that start to reinforce your new identity as someone who is healthy, as someone who likes to be productive, as someone who enjoys development in martial arts or in computer science or in whatever it is that your dream life looks like down the road. And over time, you are going to recognize that you can consciously shift the way you see yourself at any time, at any point in your life. If you recognize that you want different for yourself, if you recognize that you want meaningful change, you can consciously go about shifting your self-image into one that feels more aligned with who it is you want to be. And make sure it is authentically who you want to be. Now, there's a really good reason that practically every self-help book speaks about the importance of self-image. It is because it really, really, really matters and has an impact on what it is that your life is going to look like. Now, most people, they think of outcomes they want in their life, and they're outcome oriented. They just kind of focus on the goal, and then they think about the process and they work towards it from there. But if you work backwards, I'm going to throw a little circle here up on screen. I want to credit Simon Sinek and James Clear for this. Simon Sinek coined this golden circle regarding good business, and James Clear adapted it on a personal level. So in the center, you have your identity, The second layer is the process, and the third layer is the outcomes. Most people focus on the outcomes. Maybe they dip their toes into the process a little bit, and then after a week or two of going to the gym or working on that new business, they throw the cards back on the table and they fold. But if you work backwards, if you focus on the identity, think about who it is that you want to become, and use that as an anchoring point to reinforce your process, to keep yourself consistent, then the outcomes simply yield themselves. And this is a big part of the magic behind how your self-image dictates your life. Your self-image really, really, really is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you start to see yourself as someone who is capable, you are going to behave as someone who is capable. The action will ensue if you have that identity shift, if your self-image changes in that way. Doesn't mean you're just going to magically become a super productive human. You still have to learn these things. But you're going to start to ask the questions of, okay, how do I be more productive? How do I have better relationship skills? Because my identity is around someone who is a family man and who can raise a healthy family. Well, then you're going to start to seek out resources on these things. You're going to start to learn. Now, if you're someone who is trying to make an identity shift into a generally more successful person, I highly recommend this book from James Clear, Atomic Habits. That's where I actually learned that 3 layers of identity, process, and outcomes. I read this book probably about 5 years ago now, and it has really had a big impact on how effortless and streamlined my productivity feels. So thank you, James. Shout out to him. If you're just looking to be generally more productive, have better habits, I highly recommend getting that book. All right, guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, your self-image is very, very important. Start to tell yourself a different story about who you are that aligns with what you want out of life, and start to reinforce that story with actions. Over time, you will really, really, really start to believe it, because it will become more and more and more true until you very, very authentically feel like this new story, this new self-image is in a very big way who you are. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more helpful content. You can check out the description below for a couple helpful resources. There's a link for a free coaching call with me, as well as a free life audit workbook. Very great tool. You can go ahead and check that out if that interests you. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more content, and I'll see you in the next one.